It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
All right, this is another question. This is from this is from Def Badger. He says, we have about 1 year's salary invested in a single company. What is the most effective way to de-risk that asset, right? So we have 1 year salary, and I don't know if it's in just a random company, like he bought Tesla and he likes it, or if it's in like the company that he works for. But when we have highly concentrated stock positions, what are some considerations we ought to make? And then what are some ways we ought to think about potentially divesting that exposure?
Well, the first thing you want to know, as total net worth, how much is this investment? Because, I don't want to make any assumptions, but it does sound like this is bigger than 5% of their total net worth. So that means that this is a bigger risk to the enterprise. But that's just one indicator of just, hey, this is a caution flag to a degree. But even after you figure that, then you have to take it into account. Okay, let's talk about this company. It's a specific company. What's the growth plans? What do I know about them? How does this impact my financial life? Am I working for this company, which is my human capital? Is it also now connected to my investment capital that's not very diversified? And then try to figure out, how do you create a system that takes the emotion out of the divesting process? And Bo, you've worked through it with a lot of executives as well as individuals that have these type of things. What are those strategies that we use for the divesting part?
The big thing that we worry about is, there's always this, well, I don't know exactly what the stock is going to do. And I know if I do sell, there's going to be substantial tax consequences, especially if it's something that has a large gain embedded. And so, you're like, well, I don't want to sell now and trigger all those taxes and the stock shoot through the roof. Or if I don't sell now, I don't want to keep holding it at tank. Again, one of the ways that we love taking the emotion out of the decision is just like we dollar cost average cash into a portfolio when it's a material amount. When we think about selling an individual security, so long as your tax circumstance substantiates this, there's nothing wrong with dollar cost averaging your way out of a holding. Pick a certain amount that you want to sell on a quarterly basis or on a monthly basis or on an annual basis so that you can begin to limit that exposure. And then another thing you can do is think outside the box. For example, if you're someone who's charitably inclined and you like giving money to nonprofits and that sort of thing, a great thing you can do is instead of giving cash out of your paycheck, you can begin using through a charitable gift fund that appreciated security to do your giving. So they're actually divesting your exposure, getting a tax benefit, and then you have that money rerouted into your portfolio. So there are systematic ways you can think through that. Remember, the two things we always have to balance when it comes to financial management are fear, what if this stock goes down? And greed, what if this stock goes up? And you have to answer that question about this individual situation, how it fits in with your overall circumstance.
And I think as you get older, more mature, and as you approach retirement, risk is also built into both that fear and greed component. And it is one of those things where you have to look at, what does this stock mean for your overall financial health? And if it is one of those things where we've seen this, I've worked with Lucent executives that lost a lot of their wealth because they waited too long. You have to take that into account. So I know that we gave you a lot of different variables to take into account, but it is a very personal decision. And this is one that you want to measure twice, cut once to get it right, because there's a lot of things that can go into this one simple decision. So definitely kind of begin with the end in mind and also work through your risk, your fear, your greed, and make sure that no stone is not, unturned and you work through a really positive path forward.